Hi, I'm Jay Soul, Morgan Stanley's branded footwear and apparel analyst, and I'm very pleased to be joined again by Pam Goodfellow, Senior Consumer Insights Director at Prosper Insight & Analytics. Prosper is one of the leading U.S. consumer research firms in the U.S. and has been providing data to the National Retail Federation for over 10 years. And to Pam's credit, her data and she correctly identified the slowdown in consumer spending last summer. So Pam, you're here at a crucial time in the market. The market's been in a holding period for about the last couple months, trying to figure out if the acceleration expected in the back half of the year is going to happen. So I'm really interested in your views on apparel and footwear, but let's talk about the here and now first and then move on to the big picture. Father's Day is Sunday. What's your view for spending for the big Father's Day holiday?
Well, for Father's Day this year, we're expecting consumers to spend about $114 overall on the holiday, which is down about 5% year over year. We saw a similar decrease in Mother's Day too, down about 3.5%. So to see this decline for Father's Day isn't too much of a surprise at this point.
So you're saying Father's Day should be a little bit worse than Mother's Day on a year-over-year basis. Why do you feel that way?
Well, unfortunately, fathers usually get the shortchanged when it comes to spending. Mother's Day is a larger spending holiday. It's about a $20 billion holiday versus Father's Day, which comes in about $12 billion. So when consumers need to cut back, they unfortunately cut back more on dad than they do on mom.
I guess I won't be expecting anything good this year. All right, well, let's shift to your 90-day view. What's your outlook for consumer spending as a whole over the next 90 days?
Overall, we're looking for consumer spending to be about flat. We look at 20 different categories and look at spending over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And while we're showing some peaks and valleys in certain categories overall, consumers are continuing that kind of holding pattern of spending. It's really is flat year over year.
And so within that, you see some good signs out of the consumer and also some signs that continue to keep you cautious on how the spending outlook is going to play out. Can you talk about what's good that's happening with the consumer and maybe some of the negatives? Sure.
Well, this month we saw that consumer confidence is actually pretty positive, compared to years past. This month we saw that 42% of consumers are confident or very confident in chances for a strong economy. In a really good economy, we expect that that range to be in the high 40s, low 50% range. So we're not too far from that. And we're also showing that consumers are showing a few signs of loosening up. Fewer are planning to decrease their overall spending. Year over year, we saw that indicator drop 17%. So they are showing some wiggle room in the budget, but I really think the economy is the sticking point for consumers right now. They're worried about wage growth and employment, and so they're only going to spend if they truly feel motivated to spend.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about categories. Let's talk about consumer staples versus consumer discretionary categories, because your data tracks just about everything. What are you seeing in staples versus discretionary over the next 90 days?
Over the next 90 days, we're looking at staples to be down year over year about 1.5%. But for discretionary, we're looking at it up 1.7%, which is really interesting in this type of economy where you see the discretionary spending where consumers don't generally have to spend there. It's rising versus the grocery and health and beauty aids categories.
So you mentioned grocery. Grocery is one of the weaker categories. Why is grocery one of the weaker categories?
Right. Groceries is driving the decline in staples this month, down year over year about 2%. It might just be that consumers are fed up with the high grocery prices in the store, but on the flip side, we are showing dining out up year over year about 6%. So I think it's a trade-off. Consumers are going to spend their summers at a few more restaurants this year than maybe they did last year, and as a result, they're going to be buying less food at the grocery store.
Okay, all right, well, let's stop there. In part 2 of our interview with Pam, we're going to dig in more to the discretionary categories, talk about hard lines versus soft lines, apparel and footwear. So Pam, thank you very much. Again, I'm Jay Soul, Morgan Stanley's branded apparel and footwear analyst. See you in part 2. Thanks so much.